I challenged myself to dub all the in-character Ask Luvachis received from their time as admin on PMD-Explorers. Let's just say it was an experience. Okay, roll the music. Shroomsworth, were you quite the adventurer in the past? Not quite. I would say that compared to many of the teams in our employ, I've been around much less. I've been more of a salesman than an adventurer in my lifetime. Not quite as exciting, but I have had my fair share of excitement since coming to Tau Village, eh what? Hi Mr. Shroomsworth, how are you this fine day? I could really go for a spot of tea to perk me up. Hey Shroomsworth, what's the deal with you and Merlot? Deal? There is no deal. I've not a clue what you're talking about. That is to say, I've only negotiated business deals with her, nothing more. Blog like gentlemen? What's a blog, matey? Yar, I'm glad you be sending out letters to people who come by, though. I'll be sure to send you some very nice, packages. I'm certain they will be exquisite. As an aside, I will be able to tell if you send me something you've stolen from us. Oh? What types of things do you have to do, huh? I think you're well aware, madam. From the looks of it, you have to sit around and do nothing? I suppose you would see it that way since you're always bouncing off the walls with energy. Shroomsworth, what is your favorite brews of tea? Mine is jasmine, but I also enjoy the brew of oolong and green tea. I tend to lean towards green teas, as I've mentioned at some points. Other than her proficiency in salesmanship and eating cake, what is it about PK that keeps you attached to her? It seems to me that you don't have very much in common that would make you an amicable pair. That's what I'm asking! Well, after recent events, one could argue that nothing is really keeping me attached right now. We had a very major disagreement. Sir, would you kindly take your hat off indoors? It is rude to keep it on inside, you know. I'm not wearing a hat. Are you like a fungus, or like some other form of plant? Well, my kind are like mushrooms, yes. I think you're more like a wallaby than a kangaroo, to be honest. You hop around like, but are much smaller than a kangaskhan. That's a strange assertion. Kangaskhan are certainly more monstrous, but who's to say they can't both fill the role? Do female Breloons have pouches? As far as I'm aware, no. I believe Breloons are a little more mushroom than they are kangaroo. Attacking by spreading spores around? How uncouth. I don't think gametes should be used that way, especially where the children might see. Really? Would you believe? Not once in my life? And I don't plan to begin anytime soon. Black looks quite slimming on you, don't you think? Jargon. How far can you stretch your arms? Can you stretch other parts of your body too? If I'm actually whipping them out, they can move quite far. Otherwise, I can only stretch them to a small distance for grasping things. Only my arms can do this, yes. You remind me of a chap I know who goes by the name Dudley. He enjoys tea and occasional spot of fisticuffs. I think you two might hit it off quite well if you ever met. You don't say.
Let's
if I
fight like gentlemen.
So be it. Do your worst.
Prepare to strike. Now.
Ahoy, matey! I heard yon that PK had a falling out or whatever. How'll that be treating ye? If you need a sea dog to drown your sorrows in, well, you know where to go. I got plenty of booze. Goes good in your tea. I will manage. I really don't believe I agree with adding such ingredients to tea, however. I can see that you are attempting to cheer me up, and I appreciate it, Gunpowder. Care for a spot of Earl Grey and some scones? My treat. Ah, no, my treat. I insist. Who crafts your monocle lenses? I've been asked not to reveal that, actually. Do forgive me. Why, if it isn't the fine gentleman, are you my reward? Ah, well, at least hearing that is slightly less traumatizing without the rapping and the allusions to things. Oi, Shroomsworth, do you like to write? How about if you do, we do a writer's exchange, eh? You write a short story about me, I write a short story about ye. Real short, promise, I can be writing real good when I try. I suppose we could work out something like that. Perhaps it would be entertaining. Ahoy again, matey! Boy, I sure do love to gossip lately. How about that music, eh? Do you like any of it? If so, what types? I like to sing me own music myself. Sapling Village was not big on the instrument trade back when I was but a young shroomish, so most of our music came from wind instruments we fashioned ourselves. Thus, I'm quite partial to the various sorts of flutes I grew up listening to. Miss Ariana is particularly talented with them. I can't say I've ever heard you sing, chap. I'm sure it's something to behold.
I like the smell of your body.
That's not even a question! If you are going to say something inappropriate to me, can you at least do so in the form of a question?
I like the smell of your body. Why?
I would tolerate this much better if you bought something.
I'll be buying 50 pecha berries. I also happen to like the smell of your body. Why?
Because you have good taste. Thank you for your business.
Our business is far from done, you fine-smelling gentleman, you. I really hope you like pecha berries. Speaking of which, may I show you my tea collection in my cellar?
I'm certain your collection is exquisite. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'd like to continue living my life above ground and with freely moving limbs.
The undeniable proof of you doing business with Lady Merlot that just so happens to be in my possession speaks volumes of your strong sense for negotiation. Just think about all the business we could do. Or maybe I should show everyone else your rather interesting approach of doing business? Yes, I think I shall do that now instead. Good day, my fine-smelling sir.
Ah, do listen. You are attempting to bluff the business-minded. I applaud the effort, but I've seen many a scam in my time. My humblest apologies in informing you that you will leave this exchange empty-handed. Except for your new berries, of course. Good day.
Hey, Shroomsworth, tell us something about your parents.
The Shroomish of Sapling Village do not grow up knowing biological parents. We simply had villagers volunteer to take care of us for as long as I can recall. I suppose they would be the closest things we have. Unfortunately, they tend to change abruptly, so looking up to one as a dependable parent is rather difficult. Personally, I learned more from the elder than from anyone else, so for me, he would be the closest thing. Bless him, he was always very calm-minded and clever, even as he aged. Ah, but that's perhaps a bit depressing to delve into. Let's leave it at that, what?
Have you ever been knighted? You seem like the sort who would fit that to a T. In fact, I'm tempted to call you sir one way or another.
I hail from a rather humble place, dear. There was no royalty to go about doing such things as knighting.
Do you plan to expand your enterprise beyond Tau Village? Or are you satisfied turning the residents of what was once a lovely village into your personal slaves?
I don't think I'm the best one to ask about any enterprising at the moment, my aquatic foul-mouthed friend. Perhaps you should ask PK. Also, slavery accusations? Come now, such poor taste.
Mushrooms. They're delicious pan-seared or grilled. But is it awkward when people offer you some?
Even in the face of such an obviously insensitive gesture, I am inclined to simply say, no thank you. It is quite insensitive though. Very much so.
I like a rare Pikachu steak with a delicious Shroomish spore sauce any time of the day. What is your favorite dish?
The cheese omelets served at Mr. Vertigo's fine establishment were exquisite enough to become my favorite meal. I do hope he restores business soon.
Yeah, well if you're so business-minded, why do you offer free tea and scones? You should start charging people a gentleman tax.
Rubbish. I will occasionally treat friendly fellows. It makes them quite willing customers later on.
I'm here, ready to stare you the whole day.
I certainly get this a lot. Why do others wish to look at me and smell me? I am starting to think some of you are a wee bit unhealthy.
And sometimes I think I'm the insane bird with an unhealthy attachment to a British mushroomy gentleman.
Do you think a mustache would suit you? I would not think so. Hair on a brelu? How strange.
Fair enough, but even so, would you mind being called Sir Shroomsworth? It seems a fitting title for you.
It would certainly be a very polite title to call me by. I do not tend to expect others to expend that much breath on my name, however. Many seem quite comfortable with simply calling me Shroomy, and while I attempted to correct it at first, it seemed to catch on quite quickly. It is just something I've had to get used to.
Even though you're mad, don't you still love PK?
I do not recall ever implying we had more than business between each other. I have nothing to say about her at the moment either way.
Mr. Shroomsworth, you aren't really mad at Miss PK, are you? Please don't leave. You were a good boss.
I'm sorry, but I have reasons other than my feelings toward PK, positive or negative, to be going someplace. It is important.
Oh, come on, Shroomy. Just wait till I evolve. I promise I'll be important.
I'm sure you will, though I still do not know if I approve of the staring. Ah, what would you like to be called, Shroom Mod? Shroom Mod? What a strange thing to say. My name is Shroomsworth. I much prefer it that others use it. Though if you simply must use Shroomy, I suppose I have little choice at this point but to answer to it.
Nothing more than business, eh? That's not what these images tell me. I must admit, you should really search your house better for hidden bugs.
You simply must stop burying your face into Chuck's tabloids. That rubbish will rot your mind. What?
Hey, green cap guy, what does those red circly things even taste like?
I do not know, and I do not intend to find out. It was used as an ingredient in medicine for others. Perhaps they would know. I prefer not to recall the pain of having it plucked off.
Hey, Mr. Shroomyworth, is it fun to hop around all the time, or do you sometimes slow down and just walk?
I walk most of the time. I can't deny that hopping can be rather brisk and exciting, though.
How are you getting internet access in Tau/Sapling Village? Do you have to buy it by the ounce from a shady Porygon dealer?
What are you going on about? I think you've gotten into Gunpowder's ale.
Oh! Shroomy! Shroomy! This is terrible! This is despicable! Shroomy? What do you think of cows? Malt?
Malt? Malt a fine fellow. He's always gone the extra mile to work with us on behalf of the ranch. Much more that can be expected from his sister.
Mr. Shroomsworth, sir, don't you think it's kinda bad idea to leave Tau in this current time? I mean, I know Miss PK just did something that led to the death of the Sapling Village Elder, but right now Tau needs you. The merchant needs you. And I think Miss PK broke when you left her.
Tau has a lot of help right now. Sapling has very little. The choice for me is obvious, though unfortunate.
Are the spores on your head living organisms once removed? I mean, I feel really bad that they were crushed and burnt into powder for medicine, but it feels even worse knowing the spores might have turned into eggs and one day hatched into shroomish under proper conditions. What are your thoughts on this?
They are not some sort of living sentient things growing on my head. That would be very strange. They are simply a part of me. Do not worry, for the worst that came of the removal was, well, it smarted quite a bit, and it made me look silly for a while.
I like the taste of your body.
While I'm extremely confused as to how you know how I taste, I suppose I should feel some degree of flattered that I'm appealing to so many different senses. Still, you did not ask a question. Perhaps I should stop entertaining these.
I've heard Braylums are kind of spongy and soft and fun to cuddle, like a plush toy that's gone all moldy. Can I squish your belly? Just a bit.
I'd prefer you didn't. I enjoy my personal space as much as anyone else, you know. Is it true grass types can't pollinate each other without a Beedrill's help? Or is it just something they do when their sex lives have gotten stale? I'm sorry, but that is ridiculous! Where did you even hear that?
The internet? What's that? Can I eat it?
I suppose you can try it if you find out what it is before I do. Knock yourself out, old boy.
I am simply famished. Haven't had a bite to eat since that crazy dragon froze my house in solid ice. How much for this peach berry?
I believe they were going for about 150 Poke in Tau before the disaster. I sold them for a little less in Sapling, though.
Mr. Shroomsworth, do you know why everyone likes to buy pecha berries?
Perhaps they haven't heard of the other types of berries. Do you think that maybe our education system is failing?
Like there's even an education system in Tau or Sapling in the first place. I mean, come on. Look at this. Is there really a school here? Do you see a school in either of these places? Okay, enough rambling. Back to the asks. Can I have a Jaboka berry, please?
I'm starving. Are you willing to work the stand for the cost? If so, have yourself a banquet, dear fellow.
Did you know that PK started dating some random cat who came over to Tau City literally hours after you left? Did you also even know PK's first name? Well, that cat sure does. It's true.
I'd hope to avoid gossip in my leave. Do you realize how insensitive it is to track me down just to give me such rubbish? Do go and focus on the rebuilding effort like the others. Please and thank you. Say, Shroomsworth, I know right now tensions are high with all that is going on. However, after things maybe calm down a bit, do you think you'll ever find it in your heart to forgive PK? Perhaps after I've faced and come to terms with the result of her actions, I will have a clearer head to think about what will happen from there. Now is certainly not the best time to ask me if you're hoping to receive a pleasant answer. Being as knowledgeable as you are, could you tell us where Wild Pineco are located? Despite the donation the Rescuers Guild received, we still need a special adhesive to reattach all the branches to support the treehouse, and only a Pineco has such a sap. I'm afraid such specific things are not my line of expertise. I've not traveled that much, you know. I would imagine that one of the forests other than Creeping Forest may have what you're seeking, though. Mr. Shroomsworth, will you ever go back to Tau? It is not really a good time for me to think about that. I'm afraid my current mood would not dictate things that I would come to regret later. Also, did you just call me Mr. Shroomsworth? Good sir, it has come to my attention that you are selling highly addicting jaboka berries to starving orphans at your stand. Hand over your merchant license, please. Selling drugs to children? Disgusting. First, this is yet again not a question. Second, everything you have spouted is ridiculous. What are you even talking about? Jog on!
Hi, I like your hat. Can I have it? Thanks, bye.
But I'm starting to think some of you ask me things just to fluster me. Mr. Shroomsworth, have you ever considered taking on an apprentice? If so, how would one go about becoming your apprentice? Apprentice, I assume you mean for the merchant business. I thought about it, though I tend to have my claws full quite often. I'm not certain I could really teach an apprentice as properly as they deserve, given that. Does your monocle actually aid you in seeing, or do you wear it just to look incredibly classy? Either way, it looks marvelous on you. Though it is a considerable fashion statement, it is a sentimental item above all else. Have you considered running etiquette classes with reasonable tuition fees? I'm sure you'd have a few students, and there are certainly some Pokémon who need it. Your #1 fan. No, I'm the #1 fan! You stay away from me! Are classes required for such a thing? I would imagine many have the capacity for etiquette and simply choose against it. That is their right to decide, of course. Monocles of that high quality seem a bit of a rarity. What would you do if yours was to break? Needless to say, I would be most displeased.
Did you know that Kecleon had a sister? Anana is the name, and unlike her sister, she is very kind and caring. She even made a considerable donation to the rescuers out of pure kindness shortly after that other Kek royally screwed them out of all their money in times of great need. She also looks pretty cute, unlike that other Kecleon. I heard she is headed to Sapling Village after hearing what her sister did. Would be an interesting partner, don't you think? Strictly business-wise, of course.
I know of Anana, yes. For all the hardships Miss PK and I just went through, I would still not do business with her. She is a right harlot, in my opinion. About what % of your asks so far have been worth answering, my good Shrooms man? I've answered all but perhaps 3 or 4. Those 3 and 4 were either not questions nor particularly able to be responded to in any interesting fashion, or, if you can believe it, even more strange and awkwardly sexual than some of the things I've actually answered so far. There are now rumors of the Bennett haunting the tailor shop may be the now-deceased slasher. If this were true, would you want to confront him over the earlier events? I can't say I'm fond of the idea of confronting someone who attempted to kill me, and was only deterred by dying themselves. Of course, rumors are rumors, so I don't consider it a large concern, especially if the Bennett in question has done nothing particularly volatile. What is your favorite berry? Yachi berries tended to be mixed into our foods on chilly days in Sapling Village, as it is tended to stave the cold off a bit. It's usually a little difficult to get many of the children to eat them. I actually rather enjoy the flavor though. To a Mr. Shroomsworth, it's gonna be tough without you around Tau. Despite being a rescuer, I did look up to you as a role model, sir. Here's to wishing you good luck out there, wherever you may go. Sincerely, Shrum the Raichu of Rescuers, leader of Team Shiranui.
Goodness, how heartfelt. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna be doing terrible drawings of your OCs if I can find references for them, so hopefully I ended up doing them justice, or else I'll be sent to eternal damnation playing I Want to Be the Justice. Oh, Sir Shroomsworth, surely you could at least leave us with a memento in your likeness, a bust or something?
Well, I suppose something like that would be quite handsome. I'll think about it.
But only if you stop misspelling my name as Shroomsworth. Will you attend to the annual Vulpix Hunt this year, my good sir? The season is just about now. It might take your mind off of certain other things. Come on, let's show those buggers what we're made out of, chap. What are you on about? I don't exactly come from a hunting village, and it's not as though Tao was one either. I definitely need to have a word with Gunpowder about the security of his alcohol, as it seems many keep getting into it. What if you and PK swap personalities? Personalities? Well, I suppose we'd act like each other in different bodies. The idea of swapping personalities is a little strange to me, because that seems like you might as well have swapped the two people entirely. Do you prefer warm days or cool nights? Cool nights can be very relaxing. Do you photosynthesize? I do not. Mushrooms do not actually go through photosynthesis. Even still, a Pokemon with plant-like properties doesn't necessarily have all of the quirks of an average plant. That ruffian sorbet broke my teapot! May I borrow or rent one from you? I simply refuse to miss my tea time! If you can find one that is not broken, I would probably consider it. How fast can you throw a punch? Rather quickly. As I'm sure you may know, Master Fu is an excellent teacher. Keeping a stiff upper lip? Always. What kind of mushroom would you say are you the most like? Spongy Morel? Amanita? Inky Hog Lantern? The Prince? I am the most like me. Are you more kangaroo, raptor, or mushroom? I do not know where the whole raptor thing comes from. I would say I am an indiscernible mix of kangaroo and mushroom, however. Do you plan to donate to the rebuilding effort in Tao? Everything I earned in Tao was left there, pooled with the rest of the merchant's money. I suppose that can be considered my donation, as I'm actually traveling broke at the moment. What's your opinion on Merlot and her rather enthusiastic cook? Well, that's an interesting question. Merlot is rather difficult to read. She has a well-earned reputation, but I think she has softer and wiser sides too. Were her interests in me a little more platonic, I would perhaps enjoy her company. Soba is extremely friendly. Extremely friendly. I believe that he means well, though. I admit, I am impressed at his ability to head a kitchen as a serpentine Pokemon. I do not think I could handle a job such as that without limbs. What is a kangaroo, Mr. Shroomsworth? I am not sure. Perhaps it would be best to ask those who ask me about it. What would you say ticks you off the most? That is a difficult question. I am not often seething with anger at things. I suppose thievery would be one of them, though. I could not remember any instance of such that has not bothered me immensely. Do you consider honorable fisticuffs to be a gentlemanly activity? I suppose. That being said, I do not really expect most others to want to do such a thing for any reason. Boxing is simply not the forte of many Pokemon. Now that Elder Shroom is sadly passed, do you intend to continue the trade agreements he signed in his memory, or will you contact the clients to calculate new ones? Unfortunately, Sapling Village is not filled to the brim with the business-minded. I will have to think of something. How much does Sapling Village charge for a Shroomish? I could use a few back home. Not for sale. Sapling Village doesn't deal in slavery. I've heard Breloons have a fear of birds. Is this true? Punching them can be rather difficult after all. Not particularly. They are powerful adversaries for certain, but that doesn't mean much when you aren't fighting them, now does it? Huh, how exactly is your monocle attached to you? It sorta goes behind your head, so it's rather puzzling. It is attached to the back of my cap, of course. It works out rather smashingly, actually. What do you think of Rhodes? How do you feel about leaving him behind? I think he will be fine.
He spends much of his time either with Miss Michelle or off minding business on his own. I am also certain that he would have a very easy time catching up to me should he need something. What is your opinion on this? Do be careful. I hear that is not good for you. Care for a round of hopscotch? A round of hopscotch? I do not think I've played that. It sounds like something I would have a knack for though. Why is it always fisticuffs as in the plural? Isn't one fisticuff enough? I don't know. I do not make up the words, I simply use them. Is Sapling Village is returned to a stable state of being? Do you intend on coming back to Tio ever? Oh, let me read the I think I know what you're asking now. I suppose it is a possibility. It depends on what needs to be done, really. And now it's time for the Rhodes takeover! Yay! They have a scout voice. If I can give Gunpowder the Demo Man's voice, I'm giving Rhodes the scout voice. Oh my god, why are you so adowa, boo 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 boo? I love you so much, you so adowa. Oh, what's that is? Oh my god, is that one of those Sneasel brain gems? They die of if you remove it from their forehead and Sneasel feathers attached, you just go, oh my god, what is wrong with you? Why would you do that? Guys, I think that gave me mental damage. They're not really from a Sneasel, you know. At least, I'm pretty sure they're not. They're just for show. Rhodes, tell us about Slasher. What was he like? Well, he kinda showed up and started telling everybody who lived in the forest about how we could have lots more stuff if we listened to him. At the time, he seemed kinda nice, but he was also the first one I can remember that really paid attention to us. He was kinda like a teacher, I guess. He taught us how to take stuff from people, so we'd be sneaky and take some food off of traveling merchants sometimes. But he wanted us to do more. He'd have some of us shake merchants down for everything they have, and I never liked that. It just made the villagers hate us, right? Over time, stuff started making him mad more often, so he got kinda angry. I think it was because the villagers started fighting back and we weren't stealing as much. I don't know for sure, though. At Rhodes, how much do you charge for a pathfinding job? How do you compare living honestly like now with your previous job as Slasher's bodyguard? Are you and your fellow pathfinders living well now? Sorry for asking a lot. Signed, Arma of Team Black Sand. Wow. That's so many questions. I never get asked stuff so much. Well, to start, we've been asking for like 500 to 1,000 Poke, depending on how hard it is. I think that's not so bad, right? I hope so. It's kinda hard to know, because there hasn't been a whole lot of business yet. I like the way I'm living now a lot more. Even though the village got destroyed, it made me really happy that everybody gave me and my friends a chance. Sometimes I got funny looks in the cafe though. Some people don't trust me, I guess. We had actual beds and living stuff with Miss Michelle. She has a lot of kids to take care of, but still had room for us. We're mostly grown up enough that she doesn't have to worry about taking care of us a lot, but I still feel really grateful, so I help her out sometimes. Don't worry about asking me stuff, I kinda like it. What does what mean, eh? You making fun of me, Mushroom? Why, no, well, it is simply my way of asking for agreement. Though I suppose it is not always necessary for me to say it. We all have our quirks, eh, what? I've heard hops are needed to make drinks, and I've heard Breloons are good at making them. How much do you charge Vertigo per hop? Who says I have anything Vertigo needs, dear fellow? Let's not leap to conclusions now. A Breloom came up to me a while ago who claimed to have invented a new style of music. He called it hip-hop. My understanding is that those who are into such a musical style would, upon being told this joke, inform you that you should bounce before you get hurt. Yo. What kind of snack does a Breloom eat at the movies? Popcorn! Enough! These jokes have me hopping mad. Cease immediately. I visited your village a while ago and I was approached by a shady superior fellow who tried to sell me dried herbs or leaves of some kind. He said I should boil them in water and drink them, all things. He said it would make me feel real good. What kind of business are you allowing these days? It's tea, fellow. I am also going to doubt that such a perverse tone was used. Do spend some time in a library, for I am legitimately concerned for you. There are rumors that Slasher has always been in the company of two scary strong Sneasels that would never leave his side. Is that true? Do you know them? Are they still out there? The thought of both or just one of them still aimlessly roaming through the creeping forest is so scary. I have not set foot into it ever since the day of Slasher's demise. What would you say, based on how many joined the Pathfinders, how many of Slasher's ex-underlings are still in the forest? Oh, well, I was one of the two that followed him around. I don't know if I'd call myself very strong, though. I never really shook anyone down or anything like that. I didn't know the other Sneasel who followed him around very well, though he actually was pretty strong. I think it was a brains and brawn sort of thing. Somebody else called it that once, and it sounds like it fits, I guess. I don't know where he is now. I think that the merchants and rogues recruited most of the ones I knew, actually. There's still some out there, but I don't think it's enough to even be called a gang anymore. Maybe they'll eventually join us when they see our cool new village we're building. Did you or the other Pathfinders help Miss Michelle take care of her children/eggs when you were staying with her? Well, we're not really busy ourselves. She likes to repay us by teaching us stuff. That's how I learned to write my letter. Did Slasher ever make a close friend of yours go away? Did you ever wonder where they went? I don't want to talk about that. Sorry. At Rhodes, since when are you in charge of the Merchant Guild writing guild letters and all? Well, I'm not really in charge. I help out and stuff, like Sandy. I bet she would have wrote some cool letters too, but she can't see. How am I going to spend some time in the library when the best library in the region is run by a grumpy jerk who works for a moody jerk? You could always try Sapling Library. Sapling Village has a library? Wonderful! Hopefully no one has to jump through hoops to get a library card like at that other place. For many years, yes. I'm afraid the selection may be a little different, maybe even smaller than Merlot's, but there is plenty of learning material. Do be careful about doing anything that makes Miss Ariana wary of you, though. She's not the most trusting with outsiders. I can't always try it. Don't you have opening hours? And the books smell like grass. Actually, the entire village does. I have allergies. I beg your pardon? You're welcome to go somewhere else. Hey, if Sandy can't write letters because she's blind, maybe you could write one for her sometime. I guess. She's not really talkative either, though. Unless Maple is around. I don't know if she would have a lot to say. Why do Braylooms take so much damage from birds? Are you afraid of heights or something? You speak in such strange terms. Take so much damage? Pish posh, I believe you have been around Lexi for too long. Though, a flying enemy is rather difficult to defend against. Perhaps it is simply that we grass types do not often tend to have something like natural armor to protect us from piercing beaks and talons, and conventional fighting is rather easy for them to dodge and counterattack. Was evolution an awkward thing for you, suddenly having a tail, neck, and arms? It was a little difficult to get used to, yes. To see Master Fu go from being taller than I was to much shorter was quite a shock. He immediately went to work on helping me get used to things, and soon teaching me the ways of fighting. All in all, evolving was not as difficult of a thing as I would imagine it might be. Since you mentioned Lexi, what is your relationship with him? Have you two maybe befriended each other the way you have with the other inhabitants of Merlot's castle? Certainly not! He does not really take part in the sort of things Merlot's closer servants do. I can't say I know what to think of him yet, though he certainly seems one to busy himself with all sorts of knowledge and statistics. As the weather gets hotter, many Pokémon are looking at inventive ways to keep cool. As a result, I've invented a new type of mushroom-flavored, artificially flavored, no mushrooms are harmed in the making of this product, frozen confection in the shape of a Breloom. I call it a Hopsicle. They're quite popular down in Sapling Village, apparently. Now, where would you like this large sack of royalty money? I really tire of these jokes. You've gotten on my last... Oh. Just put it in the old ware. Thank you. Do you happen to know anything regarding tiling? Malt says we're tiling the land as part of the joint unification of the village and farm, but I'm not familiar with how it works. I'm afraid not. Farming is not my strong suit. After questioning a Porygon, apparently a kangaroo is something you can find on the internet, but I still have no idea what either of them are, so that's not exactly helpful now, is it? Certainly not. Hello, I'm new to the region and I'm wondering why Merlot is so popular here. What about a nice Pinot Noir or Zinfandel instead? I mean, really now. I think you misunderstand both what we're talking about and what popular means. What relation do the mushrooms on a Paris or Parasect have to Shroomish and Breloom?
Do you ever have the urge to take over an insect host, for example? We do not particularly know. I do not believe there is a notable relation. I have neither the ability nor desire to control an insect. I heard parasects are, in fact, the mushroom doing all the talking and thinking and not the original insect. I don't have anything against mushrooms, but essentially killing the original host seems a bit tragic, really. What's your opinion on this? I am not really certain what to think about it. Elder Shroom always seemed to be in his right mind and not malicious in the slightest. I feel that perhaps there are some things about this that we don't understand. I do not recommend you fighting Merlot at any point. There's nothing about her being a psychic bird that would work out for you. I recommend an easier opponent, like a rock covered in snow or a Sneasel that got caught out in the rain. Why would I fight Merlot? That would not only be foolish, but she has never once meant me any harm. Certainly not. At Shroomsworth and Rhodes, what do you think of Devonshire? Can we trust him? Absolutely not. That is not to say he is villainous or treacherous, but I think I have more than enough reason to be wary of him at this point. The boss never told us much about him in the gang. I've seen him around a little bit since the fuss over sorbet though. It's kinda cool. Isn't it weird how you can't see his mouth sometimes and he can still talk? I wish I could do that. I bet it'd make throwing your voice really easy, huh? Have you ever had the misfortune of a customer paying entirely in pennies? I just did, and now have a pile of them larger than I am. Dear fellow, what is a pennies? That is not standard currency at all. Perhaps you should track this customer of yours down for swindling you. I'm just wondering, did you happen to bring the book along with you back to Sapling Village? Because if anything, the Rescuers Guild would love to take a gander at translating it and sending you the results. I did not exactly have time to take things with me. Unfortunate, yes? Rhodes, would you ever want to evolve? Evolve? Like, become a Weavile? I don't know. I mean, I guess that should be scary enough for me to say no after stuff that's happened, but it isn't. The real reason I'm not sure is, well, I like the way I am now. Why would I want to evolve and be different for the rest of my life? It'd have to be a good reason, I think. Rhodes, why are you so asymmetrical? Would you kindly either remove that feather from your left ear or grow one on your right ear too? Thanks. I am not asymmetrical, whatever that means. Take that back! Is it true girls have cooties? Probably. Sometimes they're kind of weird. Do you think that means they're infected? Rhodes, I take it back. A shining example for beautiful symmetry is you. Well, okay. I still have no idea what you're saying, though. Are you like Mr. Pal? I can't understand him sometimes either. Hey, kid, wanna try Hopsicle? They're all the rage in Sapling Village. Miss PK told me to beat up anybody who says, hey, kid, and then ask me to try something. I'll let you off easy, though. Don't do it again, okay? I have a Breloom friend who refers to his tail seed things as his butt pods. It's kind of awkward. What should I do? No self-respecting Breloom would do that. I think you're messing with me. Wow, you have feathers? Are you a bird? Can you fly? What? Not everything with feathers is a bird, you know. I think you should sit in when Miss Michelle does her teaching. You could really use it. Shroomy, hey man, how's it hanging? Wanna buy some of my special herbs? You put them into boiling water, then drink it. Makes you feel real good. How about a few less questions that sound like they're offering me drugs in a dark alley? Come now. Rhodes, you're mean. I thought you were a nice birdie. It's not my fault that you don't yet know how to fly, you know. I don't even have wings, though. Don't you know that birds have to have those? It's not just the feathers. I've had it with you, Birdie. I'll tell Missy that you call people dumb for asking simple questions. You're a big, fat dummy. But I didn't. You really didn't know something. I give up. Now that half of the creeping forest is destroyed from the battle with Sorbet, do you have difficulty in your recent pathfindings? I'm sure you and your fellow pathfinders need to remap everything after such destruction, aren't you? Do you offer pathfinding assistance to other cities? We never traveled too far outside Taos, so we don't know the way to Alomomola for the showbiz job. It's a little tough. Some of the stuff we used as signs to know where we were are broken or covered up, but it's still our forest. We'll figure it out, don't worry. We've been planning routes to Alomomola, yeah. There's a road, of course, but it kinda winds around a lot and made mostly for big trade caravans and stuff. It'd take you a while to get there like that. We could get you there fast off the beaten path. We kinda need to be paid, though. I hope you don't mind that. I blame Anana for this recent rise in drug culture in Tao area. Did you know she was seen parading around with an Enigma berry? Good heavens! Well, that is certainly not right. Others told her to jog on, yes? Hello, Mr. Shroomsworth. I very much admire your work, and while I know you've gone through a tough time recently, what with all the commotion, I was wondering if you would be so kind as offer me a few pointers. You see, I was a businesswoman before I died, and I would like to get back on my feet and selling again, but not many Pokemon would like to do business with a ghost type. Especially with that Devonshire running around, making us all look like monsters. Something I learned at a young age in regards to selling was to work with things I thought were weaknesses, and it was surprisingly effective. Perhaps there is a way you could use qualities of yourself that you don't normally think much about to attract customers. Hey Shroomy, since the apple incident, have you bought any other fruit from Iceberg? Maybe a pumpkin or a watermelon? Surely you must fit in those, you stallion. Or maybe you prefer to buy bananas and cucumbers now? That was a work of fiction, you know! Honestly, what is a dongle even? This is the second time I'm questioning these people and comparing their sanity to my own. Dear Shroomsworth, someone told me to slow my roll earlier today. Do you know what that means? I believe it means you should stop rolling. Rollouts can be mighty dangerous. Is your monocle a piercing? Cause it looks as though it's connected to your cap. For that matter, how the heck do you keep it in place? How is anyone ever supposed to wear a monocle without looking perpetually cockeyed? It does not necessarily have to be a piercing to be connected to my cap. Honestly, wearing a monocle requires finesse. Or, sap, as certain Kecleons utilize to imitate me. Excuse me, my good sir, but is your wicked sticky? Certainly not. Things easily fit right through it. What? What kind of late fee does the Sapling Village librarian charge for overdue books exactly? Only the trusted really get to see Sapling Village's important texts. Everything else is pretty much standard, though you really shouldn't think about skipping off somewhere with their books without intent of giving them back. You may regret it. Is the term mushroom offensive or annoying to Breloons by any chance? Because I'd rather like the term. Seems apt. I don't think so. It is hardly the worst word one could come up for us, what?
Request for urgent business relationship. First, I must request your strictest confidence. I am recommended to request to you for my business. Our firm cannot currently receive money. We are owed for contracts due to a legal mishap that is binding. We would like to ask you to receive money in our place, not less than 32 million Poke, and in exchange for services rendered, we'll receive 10% of the funds. Please write back, yours in trust, Mr. Dryad. Please attach this letter to your response.
One of these. Must be for one of those overseas regions again. They certainly have many rich Pokemon over there who are willing to allow me to handle the money, do they not? Have you been well recently, Mr. Shroomsworth? All things considered, I suppose so. Perhaps I will document my feelings in due time. Hey guys, guess what? Excluding the first 6 asks, everything I just dubbed up to this point so far was answered in April 2012! I can't believe Shroomsworth and Rhodes were popular enough to over have 100 asks in just 1 month! Did you have a happy birthday, Mr. Shroomsworth? It almost seemed that you were sad without Miss PK and the other merchants. It was fine, very festive. I enjoyed it. Dear Shroomsworth, do you think you'll ever try to fix your relation with PK? I hope you are far way superior to things like I am right, she is wrong. Not to mention the profits that would come from your partnership, if you want to put it into monetary terms, but I'm sure it goes beyond cash. Regards from a sad Shroomish. Some things are far more difficult to forgive than money can account for. Though it always helps, still, it's the principle of the thing. No stealing in the halls. 99 seconds, detention for you. When will you learn? Mr. Shroomsworth, I just have to say, man, I think you're great. I hated when you left, not just because it was sad, but just because you're such an amazing dude. Will you ever be seen again in Tao? We'll see. Howdy, Mr. Shroomsworth, sir. You act sorta different, if ya don't mind me saying. Where y'all from? I am from Sapling Village, of course. My mannerisms are self-cultivated, however.
久しぶりですよ、リーコちゃん。元気ですか？僕はいいでしょ。ああ、日本語は話せません。ごめんなさい。私は良い感じ。ありがとうございます。
Rhodes, do you have a crush on Sandy? She's pretty nice. You're not gonna tell anybody, are you? Rhodes and Sandy sitting in a tree. I'm not gonna finish this statement because one of them is a young adult and the other is a minor. No! It's dangerous for her to be in a tree! I mean, just stop it, okay? Rhodes, don't kiss Sandy! You'll get cooties! Yeah, that's right. No kissing ever.
Because it's illegal!
Rhodes, is it even physically possible for you to kiss Sandy? You would have to turn your head like a lot to even get to her mouth if she doesn't straight up bite your nose, being blind and extraordinarily good at biting things dead and all. Don't do it, Rhodes. You're thinking about this a lot. It's kinda weird. Rhodes, I'm just saying she might have developed a taste for the blood of your kind after not too recent events. Be careful. That's kinda rude to think that. You should feel bad. Say, Rhodes, I was just wondering, but where exactly is the new building that you and your Sneasel friends occupy as a base for pathfinding? I mean, I'm sure that PK took the time to create some sort of place for all of them to live comfortably. That's a good question. We don't have one yet. Miss PK was pretty upset, so I didn't bring it up. We're pretty happy where we are, though. Miss Michelle is really nice, and teaching us lots of stuff. That's how I wrote my letter. You read it, right? Rhodes, do you remember anything about your parents? No. We all hatched and survived on our own, till our boss came along. I was too little to remember how that went, though. Hey, Bird Boy! Maple has been telling me you've been picking on her. How about picking on someone your own size, Featherface? Try that again and you'll be eating your own feathers, Birdie. I don't think she's been telling you anything. Who are you, anyway? Have you ever lost in a boxing match, Shroomsworth? If you did, who is it, and are they still alive? Truth be told, I've never had a proper boxing match. It is my preferred style when sparring, but I never request my adversary to adhere to the same style. I fear I'd put them at a disadvantage. Though if you call me Shroomsworth one more time, I will make you adhere to those rules. Shroomsworth, can you please tell us more about the history of the Shroomish and Sapling Village? I'm really no scholar on the subject, but certainly. I don't know the specifics you would like, however. The main thing I recall is that an ancestor of Miss Ariana initially led the movement to shelter and educate the Shroomish, which eventually led to them being cared for as children. I have mixed feelings on the matter. Perhaps we could have moved forward without so much coddling. But it was many years before my time, so perhaps it is not my place to think that way. It does seem to work out well enough, and my siblings are in good care, as I once was. You're really cute, Rhodes. I hope everything goes well for you. Well, thank you. I don't know about calling me cute, though. Rhodes, do you think an intervention may be required for Maple and Sandy later on? A what? I don't know. Maybe somebody who knows what that is can do it. Hey there, Mr. Shroomsworth. I was just in the area and heard from a passerby Sneasel named Rhodes you may not be the next in line as leader of Sapling Village. First, I must express my sincerest apology, but I'd love to hear from the main Shroom himself of how much of a pestilence this is to you. Even after everything that's just happened, are you annoyed, sad, both, or just dumbfounded? Hard to say, it did come as a shock. Say, Mr. Shroomsworth? Is it normal for two Pokemon who have only been dating for, say, 5 months, even though the female is depressed and doesn't care what goes on, and the guy doesn't seem to comfort her and seems to be a control freak in some cases, decide to get engaged? I mean, I'm sure they'll be happy when they get married and settle down, but I worry all the same. Well, I cannot say relationship advice is often requested from me, but there is a dreadful amount of seeming going on here. Frankly, the question reeks of meddling. I am sensing concern for the young lady in this description, however. If you are that bothered, then perhaps address her depression. What she does or how she feels about her betrothed is her own business. What do you think about Ariana, Mr. Shroomsworth? Firstly, it's Miss Ariana. Secondly, Ariana is a model villager. Very scholarly and interested in history, not to mention coming from the family line of Sapling Village's initial founder.
She can seem cold at times, but she cares deeply for the well-being of the village and those who hail from it. She has a distaste for foreigners, however. Were it not for their sorely needed business, I believe she would insist on regulating their travels in and out of the village quite heavily. Occasionally she would watch over the Shroomish when I was a child. She was actually very kind, though many caretakers were. I think nothing ill of her. Hey, Rhodes, what do you think of Opal? I think she's up to something. Seducing a guild leader, hoarding all those gems. I don't really know her, but gems are pretty. Wouldn't you want to have some? I don't think it's weird that she likes those. Rhodes, no, I don't think liking gems is weird. Speaking of which, nice gem you got on your forehead. I'm sure she'd like that one, don't you think so? What the? Well, that doesn't come out, so I think she'll have to just be okay with not having it. Rhodes, what would happen if that gem on your forehead was removed by force anyway? Does it regrow? I don't know, but I think it really hurt. I don't want to talk about that. Mr. Shroomsworth, why do you keep those repulsive spores on your head? You can remove them, you know, and you would look infinitely more smashing without them. Repulsive? They are most certainly not repulsive. Are you daft? They accentuate my cap very well, thank you very much. Plus, removing them is very painful and leaves a bit of a mark. Hey Rhodes, do you think Sandy would look cute in a maid outfit? Shut up! Not really. I don't get that stuff. Why does everybody in Merlot's castle want to wear those? Rhodes, do you ever get creeped out by the shadowy Anon people? They ask me weird stuff sometimes, but not really. You're all nothing like my old boss. Rhodes, if you were to ever pick up an instrument, what would you play? I'm still learning what a lot of those are. Miss PK had a whistle for a while, and that was kind of cool. Maybe something like that? I don't know. If I figure out any really neat new instruments, I might change my mind. Hey Shroomsworth, how much are those bongos? Rhodes, I am not Manco Store. Aw man, but I want bongos! Look, the closest I can get you is a 2000 Poke Steam card, but you're still going to have to buy it from us. Ah, crap. Dear Sir Shroomsworth, I know you've experienced this firsthand. Your business partner, one Miss PK, is rather prone to outbursts of anger and has directed more than a few of these at myself and my business associates, in a way we feel is unjustified in frequency and severity. How do you recommend dealing with her to avoid her, shall we say, outbursts? I almost feel as though that's a trade secret. Still, I suppose I can at least say that earning respect goes a long way. A real Breloom? You're awesome! Are you toxic? Not that I'm aware of. I do not think I've ever made anyone sick. Thank you for your kind words. Shroomsworth, exactly how long did it take for your spore to grow back when Dr. Quack plucked it off? Not terribly long. A week or two? My memory's a little fuzzy for some reason. Hello there, Shroomsworth. I have to say, you're quite the gentleman. Or mon, rather. Anyway, wanted to ask, are there many kinds of tea in your area? And what is your favorite? Why, thank you. There are imports, of course, so I have access to several flavors. Lately, I've been favoring a good spot of jasmine, without certain people to complain that it's disgusting. Dear Sir Shroomsworth, in considering the existence of various Pokémon recently, the thought occurred to me that you are very rarely seen without your monocle. Extrapolating from this, a thought occurred to me. Perhaps you are the monocle. Your body's simply a vessel for the will of a fancy piece of eyewear. Or more likely, the monocle is horribly cursed, and your accent and mannerisms are the result of its irremovable power. Both of these theories, I feel, are perfectly reasonable explanations. Have you been speaking with Chuck? Do try and refrain from entertaining him so much that you begin thinking as he does. That is to say, ridiculously. Say, Rhodes, do you like making friends? And does it matter what guild they're in? Does anybody not like making friends? They're weird if they don't. I have friends in all the guilds, so I don't really think it matters. Did PK give her employees toilet breaks? Of course. Do you think she would want to deal with the alternative? Think about it for a moment. On second thought, don't. Do you ever accidentally set your monocle in the opposite eye? Of course not. Anytime I do that is completely intentional, I assure you. Does your monocle actually help you to see? Not really, no. It's a sentimental item. Wow, what a letdown of a final in-character question. Well, here's an out-of-character question that I want to dub.
I want to be the official Rhodes Tumbler. I can draw 'em really well. Well, the pick in my icon is Sundance's art, but I love Rhodes. I'm sorry, but given that I created him, I feel I should handle things like that. I'm really happy to know that you like him, though. Okay, that's cool, Luvachi, but can I have Shroomsworth? I know you're not using him anymore because the group is shut down. So can I have him? Can I have them? Can I have the Breloom Husbando, please? Can I have them? Can I have them, please? Please, can I have them? Hey, editing chat-on. This is voice acting chat-on. Can you update the viewers if the editing process was better or worse than the voice acting process? Okay, thanks, bye. Would you believe me if I said that it took me an entire uninterrupted day just to finish editing this video? If you're hearing this, then thanks for making it to the end. At least I know my efforts on this dumb little project didn't go to waste. And hey, if you want to, you can share this around, I guess. I mean, who's gonna be interested? PMD-Explorers veterans? People who like amateur voice acting? Alright, now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go.